Abraham is a key biblical character. He is the father of Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. Because he was a part of God's plan, he is often thought of as holy, God-focused man. But was he? I think he was a jerk. I grew up in a church that taught that Abraham was chosen by God because of his great faith and obedience. But when I reread the Bible verses for myself, I get a different picture. I see a guy who was out for himself and cared little about the people around him. The story of Abraham starts with God saying he will make him famous and grow his family into a great nation. I think Abraham responded to him for two reasons. First, God doesn't speak to a lot of people. So when he spoke to Abraham, he listened. Could you imagine saying no to God? Second, when God told him that he was going to make him somebody important, that had a lot of appeal. As we'll learn, Abraham was the kind of person who didn't have high morals and strived to get ahead. His immorality starts with his half-sister Sarah. She was very beautiful, and Abraham figured he had found himself a fine wife. But God's law is clear about incest. Leviticus 20:17 says that you are not to marry your sister or half-sister. He wasn't walking with God regarding his choice of a sweetheart. And although Abraham took Sarah as his wife, he didn't think much of her. When he recognized he might get beat up by some dudes in Egypt, he had the bright idea to give Sarah to Pharaoh. Here, take my wife, make her yours. Wonder what Sarah thought about that. She probably felt like she was a piece of. The most famous story of Abraham is when he placed his son on the altar for a sacrifice. Why did God ask him to kill Isaac? Was it to show us how obedient Abraham was? Or to demonstrate how morally bankrupt he was? He didn't have a tough time tossing his wife away to save his skin. Maybe he didn't care that much about his kid either. So if Abraham was such a depraved individual, why did God use him as the father of more than half the world's religious followers? Because God wants you to know that he can use anyone for his purposes. Also, he can save anyone, no matter what their story is. Abraham was a righteous man because God declared him so. Although he was a real jerk, God took him under his wing and blessed him. Do you think you've done too many bad things that he can't choose you? Remember that God is all-powerful. If he chooses to adopt you into his family, you are adopted, period. There is nothing you can do to thwart his plan. Leave your comments and questions below or contact me at my email address. Until the next video, remember humility, thanks, and joy.